Hello students, this particular video is on deindustrialization in colonial India. So for this we have different opinions available that whether India was industrialized in colonial time or it faced deindustrialization. So for this first we have to understand what deindustrialization actually means in context of India. So here what we mean by deindustrialization is that there was a lack of demand for Indian goods, especially cotton clothes that were produced by artisans using handlooms. So because there was a decline in these products, so it led to a loss of job by artisans and led to their agrarianization or peasantization. So this is the primary argument for when we say what is deindustrialization. Now there are opinions by historians like Amir Kumar Bakshi, Amlindo Guha and Michael Tommy, who argues that there were many artisans who lost job because of deindustrialization or because of lack of demand of for Indian goods in European markets. And in this regard, Maurice de Morris also argues that this lack of loss of job by artisans was not universal. So there were men who mostly retained their job in small scale industries. However, it was women who suffered during this deindustrialization process. So in this context we also have regional studies like studies that specifically looks at certain regions. So in context of South India, what we know is that there was the weavers, they enjoyed a greater autonomy in pre-colonial time, and in colonial time they actually did not get any government support or support from the colonial government. They had to continue with their handloom industries using the limited resources they had. Even the introduction of power loom and the small scale industries that started in Western India, these were by the initiatives of the weavers themselves. So similarly, in context of Western India, similar arguments are available where it has been argued that industrialization or introduction of power loom and mechanization of production, these happened due to the efforts of the traditional weavers. So there were traditional weaving communities who were using handlooms, and because there was a decline in demand for handloom goods due to several reasons like costliness of the products. So now what the weavers did is that they tried to maintain their production using new technologies. However, these were at the efforts of the weavers themselves. So we have this kind of opinions available on the whole argument of deindustrialization, that yes, there was a decline in demand, and how the weavers or the artisans survived. They used their limited resources to survive this process. So at the same time, these arguments, especially arguments offered in context of South India and Western India by different historians, this talks about not deindustrialization but industrialization at the initiative of the artisans. So then there are other arguments which talks about industrialization in certain pockets. So we have plenty of writings by Tithankar Roy, who argues that there was increase in productivities in some small industries. So it is not that all the weavers lost job or all man weavers were became peasants during colonial time. So here there was an like there were certain regions where power loom actually brought or created employment opportunities, and even handloom industry also survived because of patronage from some well-off peasants. So it was not all bleak, or it was not all a kind of situation where only decline of industries and also only peasantization was happening. So it was not a kind of black and white situation. So in this context we have to understand the nature of industry that or industrialization that happened in India in this time. In context of Europe, we know that there was industrialization, there was introduction of different machineries, power looms, and that helped in cheap production of better quality products. And this was not limited to cotton. It was also introduced in artificial silk such as rayon. In case of Japan, Japan was traditionally producing silk, and the main consumers were China and Korea. And during Meiji Restoration, Japan also went through proto-industrialization, where silk production increased. There were individuals who were encouraged to set up industries within Japan, and they were supplying these silk products to their traditional markets. So we see proto-industrialization. In case of India, it was a mixed picture, because in most of the regions we see decline in handloom activities, like production of handloom clothes and the traditional industries where the weavers or the artisans would use natural products such as indigo to dye their clothes. Now we see introduction of power loom, and these attempts were most of the time because of the individual efforts of artisans, not because of the initiative taken by the government. So in case of India, we see a mixed picture. We see pockets of industrialization happening where artisans were employed, but at the same time we also see decline in the demand for handloom products. But handloom survived because of, again, a newly emerging patronage group in this time period. Thank you.